Hi, I'm Spencer,
And I'm Blake.
and you're about to get jumped.
Welcome to episode 260 of Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, a weekly podcast where we watch the anime so you don't have to.
But you should still totally watch the anime.
This week on Get Jumped, we're watching Jujutsu Kaisen, episodes 36 through 39, plus the first 3 episodes of Ranking of Kings, where the little guy has a big heart or turns himself into Cthulhu.
You have to do one or the other because the only way that you're going to get out of this is befriending a snake that has 3 heads. That's really the trick of all of this. Don't listen to what anybody says inside of your kingdom. There's going to be a blob guy and there's going to be a snake with 3 heads. And you just got to choose. You just got to choose to be friends with all of them. And especially it gets difficult sometimes because you know that you are not going to be able to fight anybody, but you're really good at dodging. So like what you need to do is you just need to tuck and weave. Just tuck and weave. You can keep your head down and then you keep your head up. And when you try to talk, you're just like, let's jump in.
All right. What the fuck was that?
So, man, I love that. I love that we started watching. We started watching like the Jujutsu Kaisen episodes, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're so fucking good!" Like every single one of these episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen is so fucking good. And then I saw Ranking of Kings, and I thought to myself, I have never watched this show, but I have heard people talk about it a lot. And as people that have listened to the show for a while know about my feelings about anime specifically, if I'm going to rank my favorite kinds of anime, the top usually most people think it's just gonna be like action fighty animes with a little bit of like fantasy added to it, and you're wrong. You're like dead wrong, because like it's the secret top S tier for me is fantasy anime that's done really well. And it's very frustrating for me because there are like maybe 2 handfuls of them that I can think about that are really, really good, and everybody who's out there that's just like, oh, an isekai you mean? No, I don't mean that. I don't mean that.
I do think...
I mean like fantasy anime.
Is it true that
Like-
isekai can work, but just usually doesn't? Or is it like... Does it
Yes.
break you?
Yeah, I just think that like I appreciate a fantasy storyline more than anything else inside of anime and manga and most different things that I watch as well. Like the fantasy aspect always gets me the most. And Ranking of Kings, I was like, okay, so I hope it's good. I'm gonna watch the first 2 episodes of it, and then I watched every episode of it because that's what happens to me when I start watching a show that I love. And I was just like, oh, I want to watch every single episode of this, and I want to inform all my friends that like anime that they need to watch this if they haven't yet. And then I wanted to start going on the streets and handing out pamphlets for our church of please watch Ranking of Kings, because God, I love this show so fucking much. It's crazy. But anyways, let's talk about other news first before we go into that.
Yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a spoiler for what's coming up. I got a couple of bullet points here to talk about. First one, there's a movie coming out called Arco, A-R-C-O. This opened in New York and LA for 1 week on November 14th. But it is forthcoming.
Yeah, I really want to see it.
I know, yeah. It's coming to theaters everywhere in January of 2026. It is an animated science fantasy film. It is written and directed by Ugo Bienvenu, which does not, to me, sound like a Japanese name. But it is produced by Natalie Portman. And the... let's see. What country of origin is this? Because that's... distributed in France. So this is a French film, but it is done in an anime style. Very, very beautiful. So the premise, according to Wikipedia, is 10-year-old Arco, who lives in the year 2932, uses a rainbow to accidentally time travel back to the year 2075, where he meets Iris. I saw this just because Instagram thought I might be interested in this trailer, and they were correct. It was a really good trailer. I immediately sent it to Spencer and put it on our news document. So I gotta say, I mean, watching the trailer, it's absolutely gorgeous. Like very visually
Mm-hmm.
stunning, very Studio Ghibli coded, I would say. And I'm looking
Mm.
forward to it. I hope it
Yeah,
gets a wide
yeah.
release.
It it sort of has a mix between like a Ghibli-esque film and like a kind of like like a neo-American animation film.
Or French, I
Kind of
guess.
like there's a well, yeah, or French, but there's like a whole bunch of styles that I feel like it mashes together, and I think it does a really good job of feeling wholly original, at least from the trailer that is played up. So I mean, it looks really fantastic. It's
Hmm.
definitely going to be one of those that I go out and see. It's one of those things that always like really piques my interest when there seems to be an anime movie or an animated movie that feels like it's going to be completely different from anything else. A good example of this that is a newer movie that came out is called Flow. Did you see that one about the cat?
I did not. I know
Um,
my husband watched that one, and it got the Academy Award for Best Animated that year. I guess last
mm,
year's Academy Awards, but I
yeah,
haven't watched it yet.
yeah. The amazing thing about stuff like that is it can take like it can take a genre and just kind of turn it on its head a little bit. Sometimes it can happen with like with taking a movie and just taking away an element of that you're expecting from it. So like when you went into that movie, you were expecting to have like all of this like grandiose lines and them talking about stuff, and instead you just have a just natural sounds
Mm.
inside of the movie and just like animal sounds inside of it. So it's not giving you the same thing, so it has to express itself in a different way so that you can understand what's happening, and you can also like put your own storyline to it because you don't have it expressly telling you via lines and dialogue what you should expect.
Mm.
And I'm really interested in the way that this movie that's coming out from Arco, one of the things that it does is that it plays on like your expectations of the future and your expectation of like where the world is going and where you are in time, is really played with, and I'm really interested to see what they do with that.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a big hit for animation fans. And coming out in January, I think it'll
Yeah.
squeak by as an Academy Award nominee. So we may hear more about this in award season because from the looks of it, I would be a little surprised if we don't, if it doesn't get awards buzz.
Yeah. The next one is kind of depressing. I heard
It
this news too.
is.
It,
I'm getting this
if
off
you're a
of
fan of
Cartoon
Neo
Brew.
Genesis Evangelion, huh?
I said I'm getting this off of Cartoon Brew, which is not a website I've used before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Original Neon Genesis Evangelion studio Gainax officially shutters after 42 years. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
they apparently the big thing that did them in was there was like there was some sort of um shuffling that they were doing with their rights and their money, that was not going well, and it caused them, and like it seems to be an internal power struggle that happened, and then it just kind of folded in on itself, went into bankruptcy, and then that's kind of all she wrote on that. But it sounds like the creatives have had all kind of been informed of this fast enough so where it didn't just crumble everybody inside.
mhm.
But the big thing that is a big giant question that is over everything that's inside of this is like what is going to be happening with all of that anime content. It is like where is it going to be going to? Is it going to remain underneath? Like for a while it was like anything that was Evangelion was underneath Netflix.
Mhm.
But I don't know if that's going to remain the case going forward or if we're going to have it transfer over to like the Crunchyroll database and stuff like that instead.
Yeah.
Um, I am I am of the opinion that like if I could just get everything that I want in one or two, maybe three places that's anime wise, I'm okay with that. But man, oh man, I hope this doesn't go the route of like Darker Than Black, where you just
Yeah.
can't fucking find the streaming rights. Like you just can't watch the first season of Darker Than Black.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's
Probably not the
very
second season
frustrating, but
either,
like
but
it's
definitely the first one. Same thing with Blood Plus, which is
yeah. Well,
something that my husband and I have been trying to revisit.
the second season doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I don't
I
like
have
the
only
second season
seen the
at all
first
of that
season.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. I thought it was in this article. It must have been more of a comment that I saw that somebody was talking about this article.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like a lot of the creatives behind Studio Gainax had already moved on, and it seems like most people feel that Studio Trigger is kind of the continuation of Gainax, which I know.
Yeah.
The longer I've done this show, the more I've tried to pay attention to things like who did this, and it's like when you see that Bones did the series, you're pretty excited. I think Gainax was kind of up there with that, but
Mm-hmm.
Trigger is definitely one of those where I'm like, oh, Studio Trigger did this. It's probably going to be really, really good. So I definitely think that
Mm-hmm.
the studio going away doesn't mean all the people who worked at that studio have gone away. And it sounds like a lot of them have coalesced into a different studio that is not defunct called Studio Trigger. So it's not the
Yeah.
saddest news in the world, but it is. I think it is always sad when an institution like that goes out. All right,
All right.
my last
We
bit
should
of
talk
news.
about Ranking of Kings.
My last bit of news. Personally, I write manga reviews every once in a while. I wrote a very long one on the series Platinum End, which it runs for like 56 chapters. So I've been reading it for quite a while. I had a lot of thoughts. I mostly enjoyed it for most of the time I was reading it, and found the end changed my opinion a little bit. So I wrote a lot about it. I wrote a very long review that includes spoilers for the end of the manga at the very end, and I give you a warning before I spoil it. So if you want to check that out, whether or not you have consumed Platinum End, I read the manga, but I know there's an anime adaptation. I would love it if you would check that out and share your thoughts. And if you don't want to be spoiled, you can safely read all but the last like two paragraphs. And again, I warn you in the article when that's about to happen. So check that out. And then our last piece of business before we move on to Ranking of Kings, unless you have anything, would be that next week we are going to do our year end, where we sum up our year in podcasting and then don't give a new episode the week after. So, I hope you enjoy those year end episodes. I always enjoy the sort of giant sized ranking episode and all that. Kind of figuring out fun stuff to do in those episodes is always fun for me. So, hope you enjoy them because it's happening.
Yeah.
All right, Ranking of
Okay.
Kings.
Okay.
This is a Japanese web
Yeah.
manga series created by Sosuke Toka. It it was put in a user submitted manga hack website starting in May of 2017, which is crazy to me that this was not like on one of the big ones. It has since been collected into 20 tankobon volumes. The anime adaptation was produced by one of those studios that perks you up when you see it, Studio Wit. It came out between October of 2021 and March of 2022. The spin-off series Ranking of Kings: The Treasure Chest of Courage came out between April and June of 2023, and an anime film adaptation has been announced. The story is about a little prince named Boji who is born deaf and is tiny in size, and he's also mute, I guess, as a consequence of the deafness, but does have access to sign language and people around him who can sign. He meets a little shadow blob named Kage, which is the presumably final surviving member of an assassin clan that was wiped out. And he is able to understand Boji's words, and they start to form a familiarity with each other. So, Spencer, I think you mostly
this
spoiled
show
it.
is
What do you think?
yeah, this show is fucking amazing. Um, it does so many things well. It also builds characters in a very endearing and likable way. In a way that by the end of this show, you hate no characters, um, which is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And also, one of the hallmarks of a very, very good writer is creating characters that have a story that makes them likable, even if you don't want to like them, because you understand them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things we talked about when making a good villain is the villain has to want to know that they think they are doing the right thing, and they're doing something maybe that they think that nobody else is going to be able to do, or they're going to be doing something for a reason that they're just like, even though it is technically bad for everybody else, I'm doing it because the person I care about the most is needing me to do this. And it is a fascinating character study.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is one of the coolest anime I've ever watched. It's also one of those that like I would put it inside of it being like wholly original and interesting in a way that something like um, maybe like Full Metal is. I would also put it in as like Mushishi has like that same kind of like its pace feels a little bit different from other anime in a way that makes you feel like you're not exactly knowing where it's going to like push you next.
Mm-hmm.
Frieren is a lot like that too. So
Yeah.
like Frieren's pace is not, it's not like a frantic pace that you're going to lose breath as you're going through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it just takes time in the moments. And this show definitely does that too, where it just like it takes moments where it expresses like the softness of characters or expresses like the feeling of characters. It also has some moments that will have you genuinely go, "What the fuck did I just watch?" So if you're one of those people that like when you're watching anime and you're just like, "I want it to like freak me out," there's going to be a part in episode one where a horrible monster demon thing is going to appear at one point, and you're going to be like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Uh-huh.
And then it just gives you no more context for that for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
He's just like,
I liked that a lot because it felt. I think having the demon appear and then having it disappear with no explanation, the characters definitely saw it. They're definitely reacting to it. They definitely have different perspectives on it, but nobody really knows like what it is. And there's no, in those first three episodes, there's no like scheming do-batter that's hanging out in the corner of rooms and that's like, ah, the demon I summoned is sowing discord or is doing whatever the hell. Like it's just world building and table setting. Like it's telling you that there's a plan and that we're going to move forward into an interesting future, but you got to kind of lock in with what the story is doing. And I really like that. I think that when I saw the demon show up, I was definitely kind of keeping one ear open for an explanation of what that was, or you know, what the specifics of that could have been. But like the fact that they didn't play their hand early made me feel like, okay, this is somebody who knows what they're about and knows that they can build an interesting story with this teaser hanging out there without having to rely on just like going for the biggest kind of shock value or whatever right away, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, this is just like such a cute story. It's very endearing. It's very emotional. Like you get drawn in really quickly, and the like sort of big heart and big feelings of your main characters I think play through really strong right away. And the growing friendship between the two protagonists feels like it hooks you pretty quickly, I would say, even though they actually
mm-hmm.
don't connect super strongly in the first 3 episodes. I mean, it's more of like a furtive connection. I mean, definitely from one angle, from Boji, he's like, yo, let's be friends, let's hang out. And then from Kage's perspective, he's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more like cagey. And the first 3 episodes are kind of him becoming aware of how much he wants to spend more time with Boji. And then because of the world around Boji, finding obstacles to that. To the point that the end of episode 3 is not, we are friends now and we are hanging out, or we are friends now and we are setting on an adventure. It is, I am leaving to go look for this other person that I think I can be friends with, which is a really interesting setup for the series. And yeah, I did not watch more than the first 3 episodes, but I would have sat and watched the whole thing all day if I didn't have to go to work, because it was really, really good. Also, just gorgeously animated, right? Like, so beautiful, and it has a.
Oh yeah, the animation is fucking top notch.
It looks like a storybook too. The way that they do their coloring and their line work, it doesn't look like a. It doesn't look like a high quality anime adaptation. It looks like a storybook that was animated to come to life. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Just this show is absolutely earns all the praise that it has.
I would say it's a must
All right.
watch from both of us for sure.
Oh, absolutely. All right. I am about to put 1 minute on the clock.
God.
I'm going to give a countdown of 3, 2, 1, and then Blake is going to give us a recap of what happened previously on Jujutsu Kaisen. So 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, this might be the most complicated previously on that we've ever done. So we have our main character, Yuji, is a student at Jujutsu High, where he's learning to be a sorcerer that exercises curses, which are kind of demons, ghosts, whatever. He has 2 teammates, Nanami and Megumi, and their teacher, Gojo. Gojo has been tricked by the villains into getting himself trapped in a little pocket dimension. All the other sorcerers, including our 3 main characters, are out and about trying to stop the villains from terrorizing the area of the human world that they have unleashed curses onto, and they're kind of all split up and doing different fights around the zone. There's other characters there's so many characters.
I like doing it this way.
Yeah, this is I'm sitting there and I'm like, we do Naruto every round since we started this podcast. Naruto is an ensemble piece with an ongoing plot, and we are now several hundred episodes into the sequel series, which directly follows on from the main series, which was multiple hundred episodes. And that's easier to outline than this, because there's just so many moving pieces. I didn't even talk about the character that's related to one of the heroes who was introduced in the movie but not the main series. So if you didn't watch the movie, you're not going to know who the hell he is or what the hell is happening. It's so complicated. This is so complicated. And these episodes, what do we watch? 5 episodes, 4 episodes, and like
4 episodes.
Each one is like a distinct different thing happening with a distinct different group of characters. It's honestly kind of hard to follow this if you're not just fucking in it.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna go ahead and jump into it.
Sure.
This episode starts with, or this session starts with episode 36, which is Dull Knife. And man, oh man, it's gonna start with a really, really interesting fight that is going to be picked up afterwards. So we're gonna start with Nanami and Ijichi, basically down for the count. He's the one from the previous episode that he was fighting against a character. This sounds so anime. He was fighting against a character that had been reincarnated by taking over the body of somebody else that was a spirit medium.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I love
that's as
anime.
close as I could say. Yeah. Yeah. And he is basically almost dead. But it turns out the person that he was fighting against has, as we will find out, a fight the strongest character meter that he has to go and fulfill at any one point.
Uh-huh.
So he's just like, I sense somebody stronger. I have to go. Must fight them now.
Uh-huh. Very
So
anime. Um,
yeah. He became not the strongest character, and so he became not the target anymore.
mhm.
Um, Yuji and Megumi, meanwhile, are going to be running around destroying these nails that are wrapped inside of I don't know exactly what. I guess it's like a cursed nail that gives it the ability to create the veil that is covering over this station and this part of the city. Except for the problem is that they find out is that there are multiple veils, and so them destroying some of them will break some of the things, which the biggest one is like one keeps Gojo in, one keeps other sorcerers out, and one of them keeps all the people that are in. So
Mhm.
like
So
so like this triple barrier is a problem, and they're able to break one of them so other sorcerers can enter, which is why you have all these other sorcerers that are coming in and trying to like get the wounded out. But it is going to create a problem still that there are a bunch of people that are still trapped inside that they want to try to save.
yeah, there's a lot of normies trapped in
But
here that are being preyed on by the villains, and I would say if you have like all of these are important, but I think if you're the heroes, you're probably trying to break the regular humans are trapped inside veil first, and unfortunately, that is not the one they get. So, sort of a
yeah,
victory, but at what cost?
yeah. The first fight that I think happens inside of these episodes is the fight between Mei Wee Wee and the smallpox demon or smallpox cursed spirit, special grade cursed spirit,
No,
right?
there's a quick one. There's a quick one where Nobara is off with a character named Akari, and there's this dude named Haruta who is a sort of psycho slasher character who starts
Oh
beating the
yeah, that
crap
has
out of
like
them.
the sword that has a hand.
Yeah, he has the hand sword, and he
Yeah,
is winning pretty handily. And then Nanami shows up,
yeah,
and Nanami is our like
yeah.
businessman turned fighter, and he, uh, not pulling a punch would be a generous way of saying it. He beats the
Yeah,
shit out
he
of.
he curb stomps him pretty hard.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they don't show it exactly, but I'm pretty sure he curb stomps him all the way to dead because
Mm,
he's pissed. People are hurt. I mean, this whole
yeah,
situation. If you're one of the heroes, this would make you mad. But he's just found some of his allies stabbed to death by this guy, and he's not having it.
yeah, he's not okay about it.
No.
Yeah. Um, then the fight is going to happen between. So Geto is going to be caught up to by Mei and Wee Wee.
Well,
If
that's
you have forgotten who Mei and Wee Wee are,
uh-huh.
Mei is going to be a special grade, or not a special grade. I guess she's just like a, a high grade sorcerer
Yeah, isn't she one
who
of the
has
teachers at Jujutsu
the
Kaisen or the Jujutsu High or something?
yeah she has like an unfortunate hairstyle is how I can put it.
It's
Um,
very anime
where
where
she
you're
just
like,
has
there's not a
all of.
version of this that's practical.
You shouldn't be able to see.
No.
I think what the play is on it though is that like her eyes are from the ravens that she carries around, so like she can see everything at all times, even if she can't see because her hair is in her face.
Hmm.
Because the ravens are around her, or crows. I think it's crows.
That's a good
But
question. It's
anyways,
written down here
um,
somewhere.
and yeah, her little brother Wee Wee is also with her. His ability
Crows.
is that he cheers on for his sister at all times.
Yeah. So I think these fights kind of pile on top of each other. Um, do you want to just kind of like check this fight off the list and then go to the next one?
Yeah, this one is really cool though, because like the way that it starts and ends is really just her slowly figuring out that like the smallpox demon is going to kill her from like its 2-step process, which is like
Uh-huh.
get you in a box, drop a big rock on you, get you in a box, drop a big rock on you,
Uh-huh.
and it
Which is
loses
an
focus on
interesting
this
way that smallpox works.
because yeah. The only thing that happens really is that she's just like, wee wee, get in the box. And he's like, okay. And he does. And then she's able to kill him. And she shows off her ability, which is throw at crow at you at supersonic speed, which is apparently her superest of superpowers.
Yeah, she did.
Then we're
She
going to go over
explains it.
to.
She explains that the smallpox demon is targeting her because she is the strongest curse energy. And there's something about Wee Wee where he either doesn't have his own cursed energy or he is always suppressing it. She explains that as well when she gets to. She's basically like she's trying to solve the puzzle because she's stuck in this smallpox deity's domain. And so the puzzle is whatever has the highest cursed energy gets smooshed by the box rock combo. And it's she figures that out, and then she like transfers her energy into one of the crows and it gets smooshed instead of her. And she's like, okay, hypothesis confirmed. And then Wee Wee, she either, I can't remember exactly what happened. She basically like uses Wee Wee as a distraction, and she either transfers some of her energy to him to make him the target, or what I think actually happens is that she says some sort of word to him that's like, okay, you can like power up or something, you know, you don't have to suppress it or something like that. And then he, I don't want to say unleashes his cursed power because he just becomes visible to the smallpox demon, but she basically uses him as bait. And her gambit is that while the smallpox demon turns its eye to Wee Wee, in the time it takes for it to trap him in the box, but before he gets smooshed by the rock, she will be able to kill the smallpox demon and thus dispel the domain and save Wee Wee's life, which is what ultimately happens.
Yeah. Okay.
What next?
Then we're going to get into the other fight, which is the big fight for the next episode, which is episode 37, Red Scale.
This was maybe my favorite
which is
fight.
the fight between Yuji. Huh?
This is my favorite fight of these episodes, I think.
I'm gonna throw it out there that my favorite of the fights is gonna be the last one. Just because I love a good team up fight. It's one of the reasons I like X-Men so much. But so this one is called Red Scale. It's the fight between Yuji and Choso. Choso is going to be the last of the brothers that are from the cursed womb. You will remember that we have already seen 2 of these fight against. I think it's Yuji, Yuji, Megumi, and
Nobara.
God, what is the girl that's with them? Nobara. Yeah, Nobara is with them too. When they fight them the first time and they take them out, and you find out that he is like the most powerful of the brothers. His ability is we've seen this ability before actually. So one of the characters that we've seen before from the other school has the ability to like focus his blood as like piercing blood, and also like harden it inside of his body with cursed energy as well, so that he can use it in different ways. His issue is that he has to manage this with the fact that he will become anemic and he will bleed out when he uses his ability. The problem with this cursed womb character, Choso, is that he never runs out of blood. So like because of the way he is as a cursed entity. And so he can just use this technique indefinitely. And it turns into a real uphill battle for Yuji, who cannot get close enough because he keeps on using this ability where he hardens this blood into like a little teeny tiny pinpoint and then releases it specifically from one side of his fingers. So it's like he presses it all together really, really tightly between his fingers, and then he opens up his fingers just a little bit so that all of that pressure, just like it would be from like a pressure washer, goes in like a very specific direction out from him. And it like will cut like a blade or like a laser through wherever he shoots it forward to. Then you also find out that he can throw blood that's been that coagulated really tightly together, and he coagulates it in a way that it gets to a specific direction, and then it just explodes outwards. So it creates like a shrapnel blast. And then you also find when Yuji gets close to him that he can also harden the blood inside of his body to make it basically impenetrable to punches. So he is just like this perfect entity of a fighter that you're just like, oh shit, how is Yuji going to get out of this? Luckily, he has a weird little friend who has an idea.
Yeah, he has Mechamaru's. The longer Mechamaru exists in this form, the more I'm like, how exactly is this working? But Mechamaru,
he left enough of his spirit to tell things and talk about things until he runs out of the battery in that moment.
I guess.
And then he is...
What I thought was happening with Mechamaru was that he had sort of set a programmed like trigger version of himself to say the things he needed to say when the thing that happened that he calculated was going to happen happened. And that was sort of true, and now Yuji is just carrying him around as though Mechamaru were on comms with him. And that's the part where I was like, what are the rules here? But yeah, it makes sense that what you're saying, that like Mechamaru just kind of like siphoned off a chunk of his own spirit energy, and it's just kind of a localized Mechamaru consciousness until that energy is spent. But yeah, it's definitely, there's like a moment where I was just like, wasn't this just sort of like
he's being haunted by a battery powered ghost is what's happening.
Yeah, basically.
Who is sometimes helpful.
Yeah, so he's very helpful here because Yuji is an up close in your face fighter, and Choso has him on the rocks. So Choso
really? He's like basically going to die. Until he makes a big gambit.
So Mechamaru suggests that he run into the nearby bathroom, and Choso is like, he's running,
break all the pipes.
Yeah, Choso believes that he is running away because his situation is desperate, which it very much is. And sort of lazily pursues him because he knows that the place that Yuji just ran to is a dead end. What Yuji is actually doing, at Mechamaru's suggestion, is wrecking the bathroom by destroying all of the sinks and, I don't know, messing with the anti-fire stuff in the ceiling. And he's basically creating like a flood zone where it's just flowing water everywhere. And Choso goes to attack him, and I guess has never used his abilities in a heavy rain, which is what Yuji is essentially simulating. And it turns out that the blood is not able to stay coagulated because there's too much flowing water in this area now. And it's basically like the raindrops that Yuji has created are breaking apart the blood before it can coagulate fully, or are decoagulating it. And so all of his abilities are kind of stymied by this. But this is also when we learn that Yuji is not... I was like, oh, this is like, he's basically shut down. Yuji's going to be able to punch him out. And this is when we learned that even when Yuji makes contact with him, he's able to harden the blood underneath his skin to absorb the blow.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Yuji is going to be able to make contact with him. He's going to be able to get him a couple of times. He's going to think that he is going to be able to get him completely, but the problem is that the previous part of the fight, right before this, like right before he starts landing blows, Yuji takes a near fatal injury in his liver, because he has constructed a whole bunch of this piercing blood underneath his clothing, right underneath where it's being shielded from the water that's spraying in the room, so that he is able to shoot him through his clothing into his liver, which Yuji is able to stop that, but he is not able to keep his blood from flowing long enough to make sure that he is able to fight long enough to bring down Choso. So Choso gets the upper hand. Choso knocks him out. Choso is about to make a fatal blow on him, and then something weird happens.
I do
and it's
not
happened
know what this
before
is.
with Yuji. I love that you don't have an answer for this, and you will not have an answer for this for a while.
This is
The manga is this happens in the manga too. A lot of people are like, why the fuck does this keep happening? And that is that for some reason, when Yuji is on the ropes, people that are with him suddenly have fabricated memories of him in their past, and they have all of these feelings for him because of this thing that has happened in his past, and you just don't know why. But all of a sudden, Choso is just like, no, I don't believe I want to kill him or fight him, and he just leaves him. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And I love that I know the answer to it, and I love that you don't.
The only time I can think of this happening previously is when he became immediate best friends with Mr. Punches. Punch and Clap Man.
And it was also when he was in dire need of help from that guy. Anyways, let's talk about the next two episodes, which are episode 38 and 39, Fluctuations.
Okay. So the big thing is that we have one more big fight, and then we have our kind of cliffhanger ending. So the Fluctuations fight is focused on... All right. We have a couple of characters. Nanami, Maki, and Naobito.
A lot of characters.
Part of the problem is that it's why it's so hard to do the previously on for Jujutsu Kaisen as well, is that it is a breakneck pace. We are at an ensemble cast of like 20 named characters, and we are not 40 episodes in. This is why Naruto is easier to do, because even though we're like 600 episodes in, it took its time to build up those characters, and a lot of those characters have been around for hundreds of episodes, so I know all their names. And here I'm like, Maki is the sword person, right? Or is that Nanami?
Nami is going to be so Nanami is okay. So Nanami is going to be the guy that has the wrappings, and he can find weak points, right?
He is the Inhuman. Oh my God, what's the Inhuman with the hat, the green hat? And he's like, and he's the karate guy, and his Karnak, and his power is like, find your weakness.
I don't remember.
That's Karnak. He's Karnak.
Yeah. Anyways.
So Nanami is Karnak.
Then the next character is going to be Maki,
10.
and Maki's ability is that she has no abilities. She's
10.
just very good and wears glasses, and
10.
she fights with a big spear in this. And then
10.
there's Naobito, and Naobito has a weird ability, which is really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Which his ability is frames, is kind of how it works, which is that he predicts the movement in frames that he is going to be moving, and he is going to lock you into the frames that you will be moving. If you move according to those frames, you can speed up your frame rate to move from one position to the other ones, as long as you followed that direct path. However, if you do not follow that direct path, you will freeze in place and move slower inside of your area. So because of this, he can move with superhuman speed, as long as he can predict exactly where he needs to go.
Yeah,
they are going to use this to beat the absolute fuck out of the cursed... What's that?
I was going to say, it's a play on the frames of animation. So he he is kind of turning animation into a superpower, and he explains a few things that
Yeah.
you are limited by
So
something
fucking
that
cool.
yeah, you are limited by something that you could do. So he cannot imagine himself, you know, leaping an entire football field in 1 second because he could not do that. Stuff like that. But yeah, the effect of it is that periodically you are not moving the way that you expected to, and he seems to essentially teleport. Uh, it's
Yeah.
it is, I think, animated as and explained as super speed, but it's it's the kind of thing, because he is skipping frames into the future. It seems like he is essentially teleporting for all intents and purposes.
And it comes to the explanation too that you have of inside of this of the cursed spirit techniques, right? Which is that it, cursed techniques are more powerful if you put a restriction on yourself and your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So his restriction is also can also be his downfall as well, right? So if he moves incorrectly, he can get trapped inside of a frame, just like your enemy can be trapped inside of a frame. But he is so good at it, he will never travel outside of his frame unless he is knocked out of it for some reason. We'll see that later on in the fight.
Yeah.
They're going to beat the shit out of what they think is the final form of Dagon. Turns out, no. It's just Frieza in his normal form.
It's just a little
We're gonna
guy.
get Frieza in his his full form at the end of this, and Dagon is going to show that he is once he emerges from his cursed womb, he is way more powerful, and he is going to expand his domain, which is a little island that's surrounded by a massive sea,
It's a beach
and the
vacation.
massive sea that's around you is just all monster fish all the time.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna throw monster fish at you at extreme speeds until you're gonna basically not be able to survive. Well, it turns out that they are going to be basically completely fucked until Megumi shows up. Megumi is going to be able to break through this domain, and he is going to start expanding his own domain so that there's a little bit of a hole.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, okay, so we can focus. I was able to get in with my domain. So if I focus my domain in a specific place, I can get you guys out. And it comes to this moment where they're all like, no. If you're doing this, you're going to be basically sacrificing yourself. And he's like, no, I need to do it. And they're like, no, you don't need to do it. And there's this big back and forth, And then cut back to the character that we met a little bit earlier, who seemed to be the most insanely powerful character we have ever seen, who has erupted from this person's spiritual trance. And he was on... If you saw the movie, which we talked about, he fought on pace to be as powerful as Gojo, who we've seen is basically the most powerful person inside of this universe. And instead of getting them out, he opens a small hole and someone appears through the small hole, and it turns out to be the most insane fighter in the entirety of the universe, whose I need to fight the strongest character meter had gone up when Dagon fully appeared, and he broke through, and now he's going to beat the absolute hell out of Dagon.
Yeah. So he is kind of, if memory serves, he works kind of similarly to Maki, in that he doesn't really have powers, but he's just really, really good at weapons.
Yeah.
He is kind of
His name is Toji.
he also, if you watched the movie or listened to our episode about the movie, is Megumi's dad, right?
Yes.
So, but I don't think Megumi is aware of this, and Toji is kind of in a fugue state. He might as well be like a rampaging zombie kind of thing, because he is just nonverbal. He's just here to brawl down with the strongest boy around, and right now that is Dagon. So he is going to just go beat the Christ out of Dagon, and it's just like,
yeah, Maki throws I think it's called like the red cloud or something is the name of the weapon that he uses, which is like three it's like three or four different pieces of like a metal staff
Yeah,
that are broken and they're
which
connected by
which he
chains.
just steals from
Um,
her when he gets there.
Yeah, and its ability basically is that it is almost indestructible, and it also can connect and destroy spiritual energy when it hits it, and so it is a perfect weapon for Maki to use because it's not going to hurt her because she doesn't have cursed energy, and it turns out, yeah, same for Toji. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be really fucking good against Dagon though, and he's going to start beating the absolute Christ out of Dagon to the point where Dagon is like trying to figure out like what he can possibly do in order to like get him to a position, and he's just like, okay, I will be able to win as long as my domain is able to fully open up over everything, but Megumi is still opening up his domain at the same time, so his can't miss technique inside of his own domain cannot hit right now because there is another domain that is interacting with it at the same time, and so he's just like, I just need to kill them. Not gonna happen though, because Toji is gonna come over to him, and turns out he's taken this near indestructible fucking tool and ground it together on either side, so it's basically just now two knives at the end of a chain that's connected between them,
Uh-huh.
and he's just gonna murder Dagon.
Yeah.
And they appear outside. And they're just like, what happened? And he's just like standing over Dagon. And then he just like turns around. And they're just like, oh, I guess now he wants to kill us.
Yeah. So he targets Megumi next, which I think is pretty surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect Megumi would not have been the target if the other three people had not been so like beaten down by their fight before all this happened. That's my guess. I don't know. Obviously, you know a lot of the future secrets about this, but I'm like, these two, like Nanami and the old man with the frames power. Um, he, they're very powerful. Naobito and Nanami, I would suspect, are stronger than Megumi because Megumi is a 17-year-old who's still in training. Maki, I understand she doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
do the cursed energy thing. She's not going to be on this guy's radar exactly. But I suspect that he was targeted because he was still relatively fresh faced in relation to them. Either way, the result is that Toji knocks Megumi away with him out of the zone where they were fighting. This is important because then the volcano headed guy, Jogo, shows up. And Jogo is very upset that Dagon has been beaten. And so he just catches all three of our heroes on fire and seems to kill them
Mm-hmm.
outright. Uh, it feels awfully quick and dismissive for we didn't really know Naobito before this sequence, but we have had Nanami and Maki on the scene for a while. So I was pretty
Yeah,
shocked at this.
you'll find out what happens to them
I
soon.
suspect that they're
Um,
not dead. From a narrative standpoint, it seems like a pretty big swing to take, and it's presented in such a flippant way that it's not. I just don't think they're dead because of storytelling reasons. But
yeah.
I won't be surprised if they're dead because the way this guy is definitely comfortable killing off characters, and it could be that he's like, I've done what I'm going to do with these characters. We'll make new characters if we need them. But like, I don't think they're dead for story reasons. But we're not going to find out this episode because we've got one more important thing to do.
Yeah, and that important thing to do is apparently to eat
Fingies.
fingers. Because when you want to have a finger licking good time, come to Jujutsu Kaisen so that
Can we make a
teenage
Jujutsu
girls
Kaisen?
can make you eat fingers.
I want to make a Jujutsu Kaisen themed restaurant or food truck or something where all it is fingers. It's just chicken fingers
Yeah.
and burger fingers and any food you can think of in its finger form.
Yeah. So Jogo and these two sisters are going to feed all of Sakane's fingers, basically as many of them as they can, to Yuji, and Yuji is going to awaken into Sakana, and they're gonna have this moment, which just like it's just peak evil character,
Uh-huh.
which is they're just like, we have given you all of these fingers and we respect you so much. Can you please kill this person for me? And he's just like, oh no, lift your head up. And they're like, okay. And then their head is just gone. And it's just like, oh my god. And she's just like, I'm gonna get you, Sakuna. And then she gets killed. And then Jogo shows up, and he's just like, what do you want from me? And he's like, I don't want anything from you, Sakuna. And Sakuna's like, okay, well, maybe I'll do something for you, but you gotta land a hit on me first. And then he gets like a wry smile on his face, and Jugo's just like, okay, maybe I'll try this. And that's the cliffhanger that you're left on.
I'll say the girls get murdered because they have audacity.
Yeah.
They gave him
they
fingers.
asked something of Sakuna.
Yeah, they gave him the fingers to wake him up so that they could ask him to do this thing, because they were basically like, we gave you these fingers. The reason you're in charge right now over Yuji is because we gave you these fingers, and also we know where you can get some more, and we will tell you under the condition that you kill this person that we want killed. And he is not having any of that shit. He finds it to be insubordinate and disrespectful, and so he kills them. And Jogo is much more in line with Sakuna's vibe, and is much more deferential. I do find the fact that this cliffhanger is, I will do what you want if you can land a hit on me, that feels like a trap personally. But I don't know how it's going to shake out. I do think it's interesting to leave on the note that he says specifically, if you can land a hit on me, I will help you kill everybody in this zone except for one person, and the one person is Megumi. And I love that little note, because he knows, I think Sakuna knows, that Yuji's willpower to protect his friends is high enough that he will be pulling at a thread if he goes after Megumi, because it's happened before. And I don't know if you agree with me, but that's how I read it. Yeah. Time will tell.
Yeah.
It feels like we're wrapping up this arc, but we got a little ways to go.
Yeah. Stick with us after these credits, and we'll talk about what's coming on next week.
Next time on Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, we are ending the year. We're just going to talk about the year that we've had, and then we're going to end it.
Yeah, so stick with us after this year. Check in with us next week. Listen to what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about new things. We're talking with some people that we partnered with before to maybe do some giveaway things again as well. So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up. So we'll see you next week.